Let's begin today's Vanguard news with Bushiroad's monthly attempt in appeasing premium, and to an extent, V premium players by completing the Vanguard promo cards for every clan. For September in Japan, it's for Pale Moon and Shadow Paladin. Juggle Technician is your typical Vanguard whose only unique ability is to let you remove a heal trigger from either your hand or drop zone when he's put on the Guardian Circle from hand. To soul charge 2 cards, then call up to 2 non-sentinel normal units from your soul to the Guardian Circle and they get 10k shields. Then you can pay 1 counter blast if you called a grade 2 or higher unit with this ability to give your Vanguard 5k power for that turn. With the amount of horror stories I hear that Pale Moon players can have over 10 attacks in a single turn in premium, the last thing they needed is a way to defend themselves. Knight of Schemes Krasilad is your typical Vanguard whose only unique ability is to let you remove a heal trigger from either your hand or drop zone when she's put on the Guardian Circle from hand, to give up to 2 of your non-sentinel rear guards a continuous ability that lets them intercept from the back row and an auto ability that lets you return itself to your hand when it's retired from the Guardian Circle, as well as get 5k shields. Then you can pay 1 counter blast if you did not choose 2 cards with this ability to give your Vanguard 5k power for that turn. Of course, Edge Paladins gets the Vanguard that does 3 things for 1 cost. Typical Bushiroad and their clan bias. Meanwhile, for the format that players actually play, Haughty Peerage while in the drop zone lets you pay 1 soul blast when a grade 3 or higher Oscillogess card is placed on Vanguard during your Ide phase, and you do not have another copy of this card on rear guard, to call herself to rear guard and charge 1 energy if you called a card with this ability. And while on rear guard, you can put 2 of your rear guards in the same column as her into your soul at the end of the battle. She boosted a Tilligan card to draw a card and put a card in your drop zone into your soul. She basically does Tilligan's job for him as well as refund the soul he would have spent. It's just weird that a giant demon lion is supported by a steampunk musician that's supported by a demon noblewoman. Vivacious Girl while in the drop zone lets you pay 1 soul blast when a grade 3 or higher Sturm card is placed on Vanguard during your Ide phase, and you do not have another copy of this card on rear guard, to call herself to rear guard and charge 1 energy if you called a card with this ability. And while on rear guard, you can put herself into your soul at the end of the battle. She boosted a Swingby card to put up to 1 armor supply vehicle Preciosa from either your hand or drop zone into your order zone. Then give 1 of your units 2k power for each set order in your order zone, and draw a card if you put a card into your order zone with this ability. This card loses value once you get all 4 Preciosa into your order zone. That's a total of only 8k power excluding any other set order you wish to run. Expect hostage Sturm builds to be a thing, just so this card can give out 10k power. Wrap Up Well Conflona when placed on rear guard lets you pay 3 energy to add up to 1 Pacifica card from the top 7 cards of your deck. And once per turn while on rear guard, you can put a grade 3 Pacifica card from your drop zone to the bottom of your deck when she attacks to get 10k power. Pacifica getting ways to recycle her grade 3 cards so that she can always do her combo play. Meanwhile, Thegria still has no way of returning her Persona rides from the drop or bind zone. Because one of the Vanguard for next month is Pale Moon, it is the perfect time to unveil Harri's ride line in DZSS04, since nobody would have cared because he's not a dark magician girl, pun intended. Happiness Collector is your typical D-series starter that will make you reconsider playing Harri instead of Luquia. Moonlight Melody Tamer Betty is your typical Crest card maker grade 1 unit that will finally be used after 2 formats of being left out due to better cards. Masked Magician Harri's Crest is your typical Stride deck set Crest card. The only unique effect is, while on Generation Break 2, you can draw a card at the end of your turn if 2 or more of your cards were put into your soul during your end phase. This is the only Stride Crest card so far that can be cucked by damage denying your opponent before their first stride, assuming that Lunatic Dragon needs to pay 1 counter blast in order to flip a G unit for its ability. But I guess it could be worse. It could be a Crest card that completely counters your deck's strategy like Alter Ego Messiah, or a Crest card whose effect is somewhat useless like Chronojet Dragon. Card Dealer Jacqueline when ridden over by a grade 3 Harri card lets you pay 1 soul blast to reveal up to 2 non-sentinel normal units from the top 7 cards of your deck, then add 1 of them to your hand and putting the rest into your soul. and when she's placed on rear guard from soul, she gets 5k power. If the stride ride line restriction wasn't implemented, many Chronoged players would have tried using this card, and Harri players would have replaced her with Smoke Gear Dragon to consistently get their stride fodder. Fuck Shiranui for killing the fun of building unique ride lines for stride decks. Masked Magician Harri has the same abilities as his G-era version. It makes you wonder, however, how will Bushiroad make his Generation Break 2 ability usable? Most Strider units Generation Break 2 either work at the end of the turn or some unique way that doesn't need them to stay on their grade 3 Vanguard. The only exception was Chronoged Dragon, because Next Stage lets you use it. So either Dragon Masquerade Harri will work like Next Stage, or he will copy his heart card skill like Gastil. And there's the possibility that I'm thinking too much and Bushiroad will just completely ignore his Generation Break 2 skill. Lunging Assistant when placed on rear guard from hand makes you soul charge 2 cards. If you have Harri's Crest card, guess we know which card will instantly be replaced in the deck set, since she doesn't make you draw and the soul charge is mandatory. The only thing she's lunging towards is the trash bin. Finally, QT Paratrooper when placed on rear guard that isn't on the battle phase lets you put a rear guard with a different name from her into your soul. If you have a grade 3 or higher Harri Vanguard, to call a card from your soul with a different name than the card put into soul for this card's cost, and that card is put into your soul at the end of the turn. Gotta love how Bushiroad has learned over the years that Pale Moon cards need to be worded carefully, and they future-proof this card by making it that you can't call the same card you put into soul with her skill, as well as restricting her skill to not work on the battle phase. But at the same time, why would you use this one-time unit in a deck that specializes in calling from your soul? This seems like another card that's going to be replaced with better Dark State cards. And that concludes this Vanguard news without the bullshit. Special thanks to my Patreon members for continuing to support my content creation. Be sure to subscribe and let me know in the comments how it's strange that Flying Manticore wasn't revealed, even though it's a 23k stride draw card.